Get ready, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Personnel Administration and Higher Education Committee to order this morning. It's March 28th, 2025. Motion to approve the minutes from the prior committee meeting. Supervisor Bean, Supervisor Etu on the second. Thank you, gentlemen. Any changes, comments? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 3, privilege of the floor. Any privilege of the floor from anyone in the room today? Seeing none, we'll move forward through the rest of the agenda. City Adirondack representative? Not today. I'm going to go through these numbers pretty quickly. Request items to be discussed by the Human Resources Director. Jack, any comments?
No, I provided my report as usual, so I'm happy to answer any questions either here or anytime at my office.
Any questions for our Human Resources Director? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Request and items to be discussed by the clerk of the board. Amanda, this over to you.
So I have two things this morning. The first one is we had a order in for Charlie's office furniture for chairs last year. They were totaling $986.23. So we encumbered the money through a PO in 2024. There was some kind of mistake where our PO got liquidated, so the money fell back to the general fund, and now we need to pay the bill, but the money is not in our account. So I'm looking for an appropriation from the general fund unappropriated surplus back to my furniture furnishings budget so we can pay that.
Motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Bean, Supervisor Molino on the second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. 3B.
Okay, the second one is a request to amend resolution 69 of 2025, and that adopted the Warren County Meeting Conference and Job Training Policy. That was a new policy last month that we adopted, and after it was adopted, we found some changes that need to be made. Basically, the policy as it was written only allowed department heads and the county administrator, the chair of the board to sign off on the forms. And we found right after that we had issues where deputy department heads or other deputies, vice chairs, things like that didn't have the same authorization. So we need to change that to say that they're the key person or their designee is authorized to sign. That was requested by the county auditor. Also, the policy allows for department heads to authorize travel if it's under $1,000 without having to seek other approvals. However, there's not a clear auditing trail for the auditor. So by requiring just the department head to sign off on the travel form and not the other signatures afterward, that's another thing that the auditor was looking for. And then we had just some clerical errors. There is a red line version of the policy in the agenda. Yes. Like that, it's under 3. So that shows all the changes that we made. So other than allowing the designee to sign off, I don't believe there's anything substantial there. There are some adjustments to the form itself, but those are the change. They're mostly administrative in nature.
Motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Bean, Supervisor Mayday on the second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call that question for this motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 4, request items to be discussed by the Director of Information Technology, Mr. Coleman.
Morning. So I have a resolution request in to restructure my table of organization by deleting my programmer 1 position and creating a help desk technician 2. Position be a grade 11, step 5 and budget neutral.
Motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Mayday, Supervisor Molino. Any questions, comments on this? If I may, Mike, can you give us more information in terms of why we need an additional help desk?
Because we had a programmer 1 position and it evolved into just being a help desk technician. That's what we're doing more of. The programming world's kind of changed, and so we evolved into more. So just catching the title into what we're actually doing.
So this is a title change and a position change and a raise for one of your team.
Not a raise, no.
Not a raise.
No.
Okay. All right. Supervisor, you too.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just curious about the difference in annual salary between the resolution and the agenda.
Yeah.
$5,000, $4,000 difference. Is that like a fringe benefit?
sure.
No, I had an error on one of the ones I did at first, and then we thought we had gotten it caught up to correct it.
The correct 71,000.
Correct.
Is everyone good with that? Any other questions? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries also. Thank you, Mike. Request items to be discussed by the county treasurer. Christine, if you wouldn't mind coming to the microphone and give us a quick update on the resolution. Doesn't matter, wherever you're comfortable.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So today, the request is to amend our table of organization. As you know, our deputy treasurer is resigning after 22 years. Sorry, just looking at something. And we're asking that he come back at a per diem rate for a maximum of $35,000. For basically 5 or 6 months. That's gonna get us through not only our year end successfully, but it's gonna set us up for the audit. It's gonna get us through the budget process, and it's gonna make sure that nothing, falls through the cracks. It's continuing training for the new deputy treasurer that's coming in. And so this is our request.
Motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Ritu, Supervisor Mayday. Any questions and comments?
Just a question. So essentially, if you break down his old salary, the hourly rate would come to $76, $76.53. Is that what this is saying?
Correct.
And you're just asking to have him continue for 6 months at the $97.58.
Correct. He's gonna be here for 16 hours a week, and it's not gonna be, it may even be less than 35,000. He's really coming in as an as needed basis. He'll be here for I think May he's gone because he's traveling. But we'll be done with the audit. It'll just be the final stages of the audit at that point in time. And then he'll be back again. The new deputy treasurer is about 95% trained. It's really not about the normal operations. It's about kind of the unusual things that pop up. And again, with 22 years of institutional knowledge, and then 11 years prior to that with public accounting, auditing government institutions, it's just the request that, for 35,000 either way, that's our request. Just an additional thought, I did also chat with our external auditors who gave me the lowdown. So for us, it's not budget neutral, it's actually budget positive. We're actually saving about $100,000 on his annual salary with this. And then also the new deputy treasurer is coming in significantly lower. So in addition to that, some of the risks, the external risks, per our external auditor, there's a lot of very specialized knowledge that comes with this position. And again, it's not the normal operations, it's more of anything that should pop. We just want to make sure we have his expertise at hand.
Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. Rob has done an incredible job for
Thank you.
22 years, and Dan has been with us for quite a while too. My only question is if per diems aren't compensated with benefits, why the increase from the $76 an hour rate to the $97 an hour rate? What's the thinking behind that?
Thinking behind that is basically he's coming back as the subject matter expert. And if I were to bring someone with his capabilities, it would be at a much higher rate per hour. So we're actually requesting him that he's coming back. He's still an employee. Again, he's less than 20 hours, so he's not getting the benefits. And I don't believe he's getting the health benefits, and he's not getting, keep me honest here, the paid vacation. But we are recognizing his expertise coming back on a very limited basis, again, up to 5,000, which is more than covered for in the budget. So it's
He's also entitled to begin his pension payout.
correct. Mhm. That's why it's capped at 35,000. We're hoping for 6 months. It may, if we use him less, we may not even hit the 35,000.
Any other questions, comments? Supervisor Ritu.
do we need to, for creating a position, do we need to set a termination date for position?
It's a good question. I think it's limited based on the amount that she has in the budget.
It's actually limited on the 35,000. He can't
Yeah.
get more than that. Because then it impacts, I think you have to go for an exception to the retirement system.
Yeah.
Again, based on how often he comes back, it could be 6 months, it could be 8 months.
Any other questions or comments?
Just more of a question. So essentially, we're bringing him back in as a subcontractor, but more of a question of when an employee at the county retires like this, they're always, their health benefits essentially just stop at that point in time? Is that the way I'm understanding it?
I need some help with an answer to that question.
I think his.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I can look at Jackie, but the bottom line is county does not, the county health plan that they're under as an employee does not continue when they retire. Depending on their age and their term of service to the county, they have options and it gets a little complicated, but they can enroll in a health plan that's also provided through the county. And
But as a-
at age 62, it's the same
Depending
one.
on their age, yeah.
I thought it was, what about Humana?
Only for those over 60,
Okay.
65.
So essentially, whether he comes back or not, he's going to be eligible for some sense of health care. Okay. Thank you. That answers my question.
Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. I was just gonna point out that I know that Warren County Health Services has successfully utilized per diems, both nurses as well as administrative staff to get the work done that I think that Christine is articulating successfully. And again, they only work up to a certain amount of hours and they don't get those benefits that we were talking about, but they're great staff people, so.
Yeah, I can only I'm sorry.
ahead.
I can only relate it. The town of Hague just went through something where we're hiring somebody on a temporary basis because we don't know if a certain employee is coming back or not. And we're paying more for the temp agency. However, we're not paying for the health insurance and all these types of things. And it seems like it's reasonable to pay a little bit more than what the hourly rate was, considering the experience.
Any other comments? Unfortunately, due to the rules of the board, I cannot comment from the chair. And I'd like to comment. So if Supervisor Etu would like to take my place for a moment, I think that's the protocol. Mr. Driscoll, would you mind taking the chair for a minute? I think it's a good idea anyway, because
Sure.
you could show off your attire
Stick it to
today.
cancer.
Need to be introduced or anything like that, or I'm good to go. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to comment if you don't mind. And I just,
Supervisor, yep, go ahead.
so one of the things that I think we need to consider going forward is, do we bring people back at a higher rate than what they were when they were working? And we might be setting a precedent here. And I don't believe, and I would have to refer to maybe Jackie or John to understand, is this something that is different from what we've done before? I'm not trying to devalue what Rob's value is. I'm just saying that as we go forward, I believe that what we've done in the past was to bring them back at their same rate and allow them, because they are getting their pension. So I from my perspective, I would prefer this to be set at the going rate instead of this enhanced rate. So that's all I had to say.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think you have to go case by case because this is unique. He has unique experience, 22 years in that position. And I think you have to take it case by case. I understand where you're coming from, Mike, I do, but I think it should be on a case by case basis, whether it's finance or, I mean, we just had, Mike here from IT. I mean, you're just not gonna be able to get somebody for X off the street to do a very unique, specific job.
Good.
Christine, you said that he is going to be an employee, in other words, not a contractor, in other words, not subject to higher self-employment taxes.
Correct.
He won't be paying inflated social security.
No, he will be an employee, just at a per diem rate. I actually had something written if you'd like me to just, so let me just share with you. So I'm here today seeking your support to ensure the continuity of the financial operations for the county as we pursue a smooth and orderly succession plan for key leadership positions within the treasurer's office and capitalize on his 35 years of accounting experience, of which 22 years are experience he obtained in this county. He is a very deep-rooted expert within the county. And this is how we transition for the future. I think I was the first transition with Mr. Swan, but I think the positive for me is that I am a financial person. So it was a little bit easier maybe for me to pick it up. Rob has just got a tremendous amount of experience. And again, the request to create this position, it's 16 hours a day, 16 hours a week, excuse me. Capped at 35, it may be 6 months, it may be 8 months. And this per diem position would allow for a successful transfer of substantial institutional knowledge accrued by the deputy treasurer over the last 22 years. Training and guidance as the treasurer's office transitions duties and responsibilities for the closing of the county's financial books for 2024. Training and guidance for the many steps and roles played for the county's annual external audit, which happens as soon as we close the books. So we're closing the books late April. His last day is May 5th. We roll right into the audit. Training and guidance for the upcoming 2026 county budget process. We would also have his expertise in that, and he would be transitioning that to myself and to the incoming deputy treasurer, providing backup support and the review of all standard and, more importantly, non-standard financial matters. And it will also ensure the smooth transition and ultimate success of the new deputy treasurer. I think I agree. I think this is on a case-by-case basis. I mean, we're managing a $207 million budget that he has been intimate with for the last 22 years. And I take my fiduciary responsibility very seriously, as I know you do, as also working for the Warren County taxpayers. So it's up to us to safeguard, as the treasurer's department, it's up to us to safeguard the tax dollars, all 207 million of them, understand exactly how taxpayers' money is being spent, and then just to make sure that we catch anything that might go, bump in the night. Again, a lot of this stuff is standardized, but a lot of it's highly specialized and changes on the regular basis. So I would like, I'm hoping to get you the right information at the right time through this information. I think there's one other thing. So this is all internal discussion. I also reached out, I think I just mentioned it, to our external auditors to get their perspective. I discussed the transition risk with our D&M audit partner, Matt Montalvo, and he had 3 excellent insights to share. And I actually have his handout here. If you wouldn't mind just sharing this. You guys can read it at your leisure. Basically, I'll cut to the chase. If you wouldn't mind handing that out, I'll hand out the rest to other folks. Oh, sorry. No, I can't. Excuse me. I thought we were potentially going into a different meeting. So bottom line, he conclude, if I cut to the chase of his letter, an ideal secession plan would allow direct mentoring for at least 6 months to a year. In my experience, direct quote, in my experience with government clients throughout New York State, in almost every case, the benefit of having a long tenured, experienced employee available to transfer knowledge, provide backup support, and review financial matters far outweighs the cost.
Supervisor Molino.
Yeah, I'd like what Mr. Bean said, we should go by case. In this case here, I'm one of the person that's been here 20 years, and I've called him many times for information to help me with my town. And it gets back to you right away, and it's knowledgeable. And I think he deserves what you can bring in new people, you're always gonna pay more. There's no way that anybody's gonna come, especially working for government, And we have that, if you run a town, we have that with our employees. It really is aggravating sometimes when you bring a new person in at $18 an hour and you got people that been working for you 5, 6, 7, 8 years that are making $19 an hour. It's a tough problem. So I think this gentleman here well deserves this and the years he's put into this county.
Just one other question, is he coming in for 4 4-hour shifts or 2 8s or 3 days? How is that gonna work out week by week?
We're thinking it's 2 8-hour days, but again, it's gonna be based on, we want to be flexible because we don't need them, we don't want to use them. We'd like to save the time for when we really need them. But right now, it's thought of as 2 days a week for approximately 6 months.
Again, my thought was though, just Mr. Wild brings up an interesting point to the effect, well, about the dollar amount, but you know, when somebody comes in for an 8-hour day, then, you know, certainly it's more favorable for the employee. However, it's less if he had to come in for 4 4-hour days, then I think it's not even a question. We just give him the higher dollar amount because, you know, he's making the drive here, he's making the drive home, and he gets the hourly rate times 4 hours. But I mean, I'm fine with it. I think everyone's made excellent points across the board.
Mr. Wild?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. It's my understanding that this transition's been happening for a number of months prior, have they not?
It's been happening since pretty much February, March.
Just February.
March,
I thought-
April.
I thought this was
Well,
going
we found out, January, kind of, the end of December, I found out, I was a little surprised, and we worked on a number of transition plans. I think we got up to 5 or 6 transition plans. So it wasn't settled until January. I was really trying to have him stay through year end. And I was trying to work with him on different scenarios, but his first scenario, you know, he came to me in December and told me his last day would be early February, which I had a slight heart attack. But you know, the second scenario was, you know, this scenario with him coming back on a per diem basis.
So, Mr. Chairman, just one more,
Yep.
and I'm not devaluing Rob's expertise in the value. But if we couldn't, if Jackie is capable, have we had, is this setting a new precedent?
This would be new, yes.
This would be a new precedent.
I don't recall any other situation where we bring somebody back at a higher rate than when they were.
Thank you.
Prior to
So again, to this committee, this is setting a new precedent. Every time someone retires and want to bring them back, they're going to come back at a higher rate. So I don't want to devalue Rob's abilities and his value. But we need to think about the future also. I hate setting precedents that's going to cost us, you know, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars in the next few years as somebody else retires, because we do have a workforce, right? That could be aging. There's going to be people aging out, retiring all the time. And yeah, I think Rob is great. I think we bring him in when we really need his help. And we need to consider this, and I'm done. I can't say any more without repeating myself.
Right,
Mr. Mayday?
I get your point. But I know when I left the sheriff's office, I came back at a much lower rate. And didn't expect, you know, my expertise to gain me more money. However, I think this could be an exception. I think there's got to be exceptions sometimes when you set precedents. I'm just saying, I wouldn't expect that I could come back and argue, hey, I should be getting X number of dollars because of a job that's pretty standard that others can do, you know, where I think Rob's job is more specialty.
But I get it. Just one more, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead.
When Rob was asked to see if he could come back, was he presented with the $97 an hour or his original $1 an hour?
Actually, he asked for a higher rate. So this is actually down. If I were to, okay, again, this is some benchmarking that I've done. And again, this is coming straight from the external auditor, as well as some benchmarking that I've done. There have been a number of New York State counties that have been faced with this. And some have tried to do more with less, having the successor, just if you give me a minute, having the successor, try to do their new position, and sometimes they're old, and it's resulted in, it has not turned out well, leading to interruptions, errors, and burnout. Again, we need to focus on financial risk, operational risk, and compliance risk on a $207 million basis, budget. And then the operational and compliance risk just overall with the government. Another scenario is outsourcing a significant or some portion of this work. Again, $35,000 worth of this work, let's just say. Finding an accounting firm that's going to specialize in government. We can't use Drescher and Malecki because it's a conflict of interest, but there are others out there, and I'm happy to do the research. The search alone could, take some time, but ballpark, direct quote, ballpark per diem rates for a lower level staff to perform the work would likely start at $200 an hour. And that is someone who has limited to no actual knowledge of Warren County or its operations. Here's another risk brought to my attention by the partner of Drescher and Malecki. From an audit perspective, whether the county audit with Drescher and Malecki, whether the Office of the State Controller or a federal audit, if significant turnover is experienced, particularly, in the finance and accounting, an audit is immediately assessed as a higher risk, particularly if there is not adequate crossover or succession planning. Last year, succession planning was actually raised in our management letter in the 2023 audit, succession planning and the need to have adequate succession planning, to make sure that we don't put ourselves at risk or at a higher risk. Having the deputy, it puts an audit as immediately assessed at a higher risk, particularly if there is not, I'm repeating myself. Matt has seen many situations recently where errors and non-compliance issues have occurred because of the lack of knowledge transfer or lack of staffing capacity. Again, I think the incoming deputy treasurer can handle the normal stuff. It's the unusual stuff, changes in GASBs, et cetera. And in Matt's experience, it is a direct quote, "It is most cost effective to be proactive and control the cost at the front end rather than trying to clean up the mess at the back end."
Mr. Chairman, then one more, because I'm worried about the precedent. What if we set the limit below 35,000? That would essentially offset the increase in hourly rate, which would allow the treasurer still to get this expertise, but at the same time, really focus on when do they really need them versus when he's just going to come in every week and help out. So I still setting up I'm troubled with the precedents. I will vote no, primarily because of the precedent and the wage increase. But just my thought, if anybody would like to consider that as an option.
I just second what Mr. Wild said to the extent that, because we went through this when I first became town supervisor, it's very difficult to know when that person keeps coming in out of routine versus out of a need. And that is a very big challenge to kind of know, like, when to stop the training essentially and when to let them fly on their own. I'd just say that it's a challenge to find that perfect median.
Just being executive, we're talking about an employee.
It's always on the record. It's already on the record. It was put in the minutes or the.
If I can just clarify.
Could I just respond?
Sure.
I trust the treasurer's managerial skills to the, and no offense to what you just said, but I think Christine has shown her managerial leadership and that she can determine, when that concern comes up, if he's coming in for needs that aren't specialized for him. I also want to say,
Sure.
I'm concerned about the precedent, but not enough where I think this board can make those decisions on a case-by-case basis. Where we say, in the case of this current deputy treasurer, he was a highly specialized, highly, here for more than 2 decades, and there was a reason why that increase was given, but I am sympathetic to that concern. I have one other thought. The increase is a 27% increase. Is there any, other than the third-party information you just gave, which I'm relying on a little bit, is there any other reason why such a large increase is being put forth?
There are several.
Is he underpaid gross?
There are several reasons that I don't think talking dollar figures and other things would be appropriate in this. But I will, just to clarify one point, he's absolutely only coming back as needed. So we may not even use the 35,000. Again, it's going to be very structured. I didn't actually, Dan, excuse me, the new deputy treasurer is almost 100% trained. I didn't know that I think last Friday was when I first discussed this. And so again, we may not even go to 35,000. It will be very strategically managed.
She could always come back and ask for more.
Anyone else? Questions or comments? I second ask. Anyone else? Questions or comments? Okay. Let me call the question. All in favor of the request, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey.
Say no. Okay, looks like it's been moved. Thank you for your input.
Mr. Chairman. All right. Appreciate the committing allowing Supervisor Driscoll to stand in for my place to allow me to make some comments. Thank you very much. Moving on, item 6, request items to be discussed by the county attorney. Right?
Yes, there's 2 requests. The first is a request to approve the updated Warren County smoking, tobacco, and cannabis use policy. It's referred from the Warren County Risk and Safety Committee. It's basically updating the policy to account for the legalization of cannabis and to come into compliance with the New York State Clean Indoor Air Act. So these changes are needed to come into.
Motion to bring this to the floor, Supervisor Etu. Supervisor made it in a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Ryan, 6B.
Yes, the second is a request to approve the proposed Warren County substance abuse policy. It's also a referral from the Warren County Risk and Safety Committee. It's basically for updates for the substance abuse policy, to account for, again, the legalization of cannabis and to provide for reasonable suspicion testing that was absent in the original policy and to provide a glossary of essential terms.
Supervisor Driscoll, thank you on the first and the second. Supervisor Mayday, thank you. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. No pending items. On item 5, privilege of the floor. Any comments? Supervisor McGowan, please come to the podium, please, or at the table, one or the other, whatever your preference is.
I just wanted to just reach out to Amanda and thank you for the red line version that you handed. It makes it much easier to follow along with these changes. So I appreciate it, and hopefully we can make it a habit and in all our changes and resolutions and that in the future.
Thank you, Mr. McGowan. And to agree, red lines are important to make it easy for us to understand the changes. Seeing no other items on the agenda other than motion to adjourn, can I have a motion to adjourn? Supervisor Etu, second by Supervisor Patchett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Gentlemen, we are adjourned.